Very good afternoon, dear students. We have completed the first module in the previous class of the Open Course Microbes and Environment, and we have seen the overall concepts about the ecosystem and the food chain and food web and other fundamental aspects of microbes and environment. And the next unit, module 2, here we are going to discuss again the role of microorganism in the biogeochemical cycles. And you might have already studied in your plus 2, there are lot of cycles are available in the ecosystem, and these cycles are very important in the ecosystem. Okay, and these cycles are very important, and these biogeochemical cycles are carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, water cycle, sulfur cycle, magnesium cycle, phosphorus cycle, etc. Okay, and in this particular unit we are going to discuss the biogeochemical cycle, that is carbon, nitrogen and water cycle. So before we are going to discuss the details about all these types of cycles, first we should know what you mean by biogeochemical cycle and what is this cycle is about and why this cycle is very important. Okay, and it is a pathway by which the chemical substance move through biotic and abiotic components of the earth. In the previous class we have discussed the biotic phases are the living organism or a biosphere, and abiotic pathways are the lithosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere. That means to say they are non-living phases, and both these biotic and abiotic phases are known as this ecosystem. Okay, so that is what I have told you. The entire universe, you are having the sun is the major source of energy, and you are having the majority of the cases there are the water system, that is the hydrosphere, and you are having the atmosphere, and you are having the lithosphere, the soil system also. Okay, and we have discussed the consumers. Okay, the producers first they will produce the energy from the sunlight, and then it will convert then it will be transmitted to the consumer. Then the consumers, once it absorbs the organisms, that is the nutrients, and they will exchange the heat, and that heat will be wasted. Okay, and once this organism died, so what will happen? They will be decomposed by the bacteria and fungi, and that is what I told you. This is the earth actually, and both the living and non-living things are existing, and the living things are known as biotic system, and non-living things are known as abiotic system. And here the chemical elements are very important here, such as calcium, carbon, hydrogen, mercury, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, selenium and sulfur. These are the some of the important chemical that is abundantly present in the earth. Then you know that the water, that is the primary component required for the life. Okay, so the cycle associated with the water that is known as water cycle, and the movement and conversion of all these elements through this three space, the lithosphere, atmosphere and hydrosphere, are known as biogeochemical cycle. And in the deeper layer of soil, and there are rock particles are also present, and you have already studied in geography and history, the soils are obtained from the rock. Okay, that rock converted into a soil, that is something called as a rock cycle. Okay, and there are so many substances that lives this particular environment for very long time. Such a kind of components are known as reservoirs. Okay, reservoirs are the substance remains in the earth for very long time. Okay, so this is the just an overview, and among all these elements I told you, the 6 most common elements in organic molecules. Okay, these are carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus and sulfur. These 6 elements are the major most important components that is required for both the living as well as the non-living things, and that is required for the existence of this environment. Okay, and the recycling of waste is also very important. The geological process, such as the weathering of rocks. Okay, the rock particle will be collided and they will be formed small types of particles, and they will be, that process is known as weathering of rock. Then erosion. Okay, then water drainage, and okay, and subduction of continental plates. Okay, during the in the earth there are a lot of plate, actually, that plate movement, tectonic, these plate movements are also very important. And the key chemical nutrient cycle through this ecosystem, that is the biosphere, moving between the biotic, that is a living, to the abiotic, that is non-living things that is happening in the world, from one living organism to another. Okay, and movement of these nutrients, that is traveling from the biotic component to the abiotic component, that is the living system to the non-living system, and they circulate throughout the ecosystem. So that is the important here. Then the major biochemical cycles are, it's a very complex cycles: the water system, carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, then a rock, all those things. Okay, these are the pictorial representation of the complex process. Okay, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, sulfur cycle, oxygen cycle, and all those things you can see here. Okay, and among all those cycles in our syllabus, they have mentioned the first 3: the water, carbon and nitrogen. Okay, so first we will discuss the carbon, then nitrogen, then we will discuss the detailed aspects of nitrogen cycle. So these are very important environmental impact. Okay, there are a lot of roles are played by microbes, and that is why you people are studying all those cycles. Okay, and why these cycles are very important is because the importance of all these elements. So first one, water, you can see that that's a universal solvent, major component in the earth and the living organism. The major component in the earth. Okay, we can live without food for several days, but we cannot live without water at least more than 2 to 3 days we cannot live. Okay, next one is carbon. It is found in all the organic system in our body, that is full of organic component, the key components of fossil fuels. That is why carbon is very important. And nitrogen, it is needed for our protein, our body, each and every part of the protein, our internal organs, and all the parts of our body is made up of proteins, and the protein comprises of the subunit called amino acids, and these amino acids are nitrogen containing component. Okay, that is why nitrogen is important. Then comes phosphorus. It is a key component of the genetic material. Okay, you know that the key component of DNA, okay, and RNA, the key component of DNA and RNA, that is a major ingredients along with the nitrogen. You are having the phosphorus, and in the soil you know that the nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, the NPK value of the fertilizers. Okay, nitrogen and phosphorus and potassiums are very important in this particular case. Okay, next one is the sulfur. It is a key key to protein structure and released to the atmosphere by burning of fossil fuels. Okay, sulfur is very very important, that contains that is present in the proteins. Okay, that gives the stability of the proteins. Okay, so these are the essential aspects why you are studying the biogeochemical cycles of water, nitrogen and carbon. Now we are going to study one cycle in detail. The first one is a carbon cycle. So please note that, dear student, this is a very very broad and big topic, but since you are a non-biology students, I am going to simplify. This is how much ever it is possible, and for your understanding, this simple concept only we are going to discuss. So first we should discuss about what is the role of carbon. Okay, what is the role of carbon in carbon cycle? Carbon, it's an important component in the life. Okay, it's an important component in the life. So approximately very small percentage of carbon is present, 0.04 percentage in the atmosphere carbon is present. Okay, and carbon components are most of the biomolecules such as proteins, nucleic acid, the fatty acids and lipids, and the sugar, the principal energy components. All these components are carbon based components. Okay, and all these components are very important for the daily process of our life. Without all this component, we cannot live a single day actually. Okay, so that is present in the atmosphere also in the form of carbon dioxide. Okay, CO2, you have heard about carbon dioxide. Okay, and the present in the ocean and fresh water as a dissolved carbon dioxide. In water also the carbon is present in the form of a dissolved carbon dioxide. In the rock also, big rocks. Okay, so these rocks such as that is present in the form of calcium carbonate. Okay, calcium carbonate is known as a limestone. So this is the overview of carbon cycle. You know that the green plants, they absorb sunlight and they produce they do photosynthesis, and what will happen, they produce lot of they produce lot of components, and you can see the carbon dioxide will be secreted. Okay, and oxygen will be absorbed by the organism. Okay, and once the organisms are dying, the dead organisms are accumulated in the earth. Okay, the plant will be having lot of roots. Okay, animals will be able to breathe and respirate. Okay, and auto and factory emission also will be there, and fossil fuels will be there. All those things are interconnected. The cyclic movement of this carbon component through the atmosphere, through the soil system and the water system is known as carbon cycle. And so that is what I have been talking. So somebody asks you, what do you mean by carbon cycle? You should define. So what is the definition? The global movement of carbon between abiotic environment including atmosphere and ocean, and through the biotic environment such as organism. Okay, so that is what I told you. All the three systems, the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the water bodies, and the lithosphere, the soil system, the movement and conversion of all these components through this abiotic component to the biotic components, and biotic components to the abiotic component, that interrelate the entire universe. It is known as a carbon cycle. And what are the major reservoirs? I told you. What do you mean by reservoirs? Okay, the reservoirs, the major sources of carbon, from where the carbon is coming. What are the major reservoirs? Reservoirs are the component, they present in the environment for a very long time. These are the main sources of carbon. One is organic components such as sugar, starch. Okay, once we die, our body is released to the soil. Okay, dead organism in the biosphere. Then lot of carbon is present in the form of carbon dioxide. You know that during photosynthesis, we take the plant will be utilizing this one, and they do the photosynthesis. They release oxygen that we breathe. We respirate carbon dioxide, and the plant will be utilizing that actually, and that will be present. In addition to that, the methane also will be present. The carbon combines with the hydrogen, that is known as the methane gas. Okay. Then next one, the organic matter, the entire living system that is commonly present in the earth, that is known as organic matter, that is also present. Next one, the soil system, the lithosphere, the fossil fuels and sedimentary rocks such as calcium carbonate or limestone and dolomite. These are the some of the carbonaceous component that is present in the rock particles. Next one, in the sea, oceans, okay, that is dissolved the hydrocarbons and calcium carbonate in the shell of marine creatures such as coral, fish, okay, shellfish, okay, molluscans, okay, crustaceans, all those things you can see in the ocean. Their outermost shell has lot of carbon components. So these are some of the sources of carbon component. And what are the main component of carbon cycle? The main components, as I said, the atmosphere, the air system, the terrestrial biosphere, all the organism where it is living, the sea, the oceans, okay, which includes the organic carbon and living and non-living marine organism. Marine means the organism that is surrounded by the ocean region. Next one, the sediments include fossil fuels, freshwater system and non-living organic material. Next one is the earth interior such as mantle and crust. Okay, the interior part of the earth where you need to travel from the top to bottom through the soil. So this carbon stores and interact with the other component to the geological process. Okay, so these are the main component that is present in the carbon cycle. Now we are going to discuss what is this carbon cycle, what is the major components and step of carbon cycle. The first step is photosynthesis, second one is respiration, next one is weathering of rocks, next one is auto and factory emission. So in this picture you can see everything is picturized. Okay, so the plants, the photosynthesis, using sunlight they produce the energy and they release the oxygen, and that the human and animal breathe, and we expel lot of carbon dioxide. Okay, that is one thing. And the respiration, lot of carbon dioxide is reaching, the plant also respirate. Then the rock particles, okay, lot of sedimentary rock will be present in the deeper layer of soils. They collided using appropriate conditions and they converted into lot of carbon is releasing. Then the automobile industry, lot of factories, they releases lot of dust particles and their fumes to the ecosystem, and that has lot of carbonaceous components. So this is the overview of this particular process, the carbon cycle. Now we are going to discuss one by one. First one, photosynthesis. You know that the plants, okay, the plants, each and every part of the plant, you can see the leaves, you can see the stem, you can see the root, okay, the minerals are there, the sunlight they will absorb, okay, and they will release oxygen and absorb carbon dioxide. This oxygen we will be utilizing, okay, and the plants drops water and mineral from the ground root, okay, sunlight gives the energy, okay, they will make the food, and the plants are known as primary producers. So that is what is known as photosynthesis. The plant and photosynthetic algae, not only plant, I told you, plant and photosynthetic algae uses sunlight to combine carbon dioxide to from the atmosphere with the water. Okay, the carbon dioxide combines with the water to form carbohydrate. This is very, very important, and these carbohydrates are the principal energy components of the earth. Okay, and the oxygen is a byproduct of this particular process that all the organism utilizing. This is the simplest equation: carbon dioxide plus water plus sunlight. Carbon dioxide plus water plus sunlight, it will produce carbohydrate plus oxygen. That oxygen we use, human beings use, or organism use. Carbon dioxide is released, okay, and water is also involved. Then again sunlight will be using, then carbohydrate will be produced, CH2O, that is carbohydrate, plus oxygen. Okay, this particular process is known as a photosynthesis. So what is happening through this particular step? The movement and conversion of carbon components are happening. That is why this particular step is a part of carbon cycle. Next one is the respiration. As I said, so the plant, they will absorb sunlight and they synthesize carbohydrate and they releases oxygen, and that oxygen we breathe and animals breathe, organism breathe, and we release carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide is accumulated in the ecosystem. Okay, so we released, that is known as respiration. Okay, so plants, photosynthetic algae and bacteria uses the stored carbohydrate as an energy source and carried out their life process. Okay, that carbohydrate is used as a component for their life process. Some of the carbohydrate remains as the biomass. Okay, the bulk accumulates inside the body. Then the consumers, the plants are the producers, the consumers such as animal, human being, bacteria, fungi, they get energy from this biomass and they live. Finally they will dead and decompose and release the body components in the earth. Okay, the oxygen from the atmosphere is combines with the carbohydrate to liberate the stored energy. So oxygen from the atmosphere is combined with the carbohydrate to release the energy, and water and carbon dioxide are the byproducts. Okay, this is known as respiration. The oxygen, simplest equation, the oxygen plus carbohydrate, then you will be getting the energy, water, carbohydrate and oxygen. Then this carbohydrate will be gives the energy, carbon dioxide and water. Again, you know that carbon dioxide is produced. Carbohydrates are carbon containing component that is also present in the ecosystem. So that is why respiration is very, very important part. The next one is weathering of rocks. Okay, so weathering of rock. Okay, the you know that rocks, okay, they have collected the water. Okay, then the water, what will happen when the appropriate temperature condition, when temperature condition is very, very less, the water freezes, and what will happen, then ice crystals will be produced here, and this ice crystal will expand, and what will happen, due to this ice crystal the thawing will happen, that will be crack the rock. Okay, finally this rock will be collided each other and finally the rock will split. Okay, this ice will give forces and deeply penetrated once they freeze. Okay, and this freezed item, rock particle will be collided, and this rock particle will be liberate lot of carbon dioxide. Okay, so that is what I told you. Carbon dioxide react with the water to form weak acid. Okay, that is known as carbonic acid. Okay, the carbonic acid dissociate into hydrogen ion and bicarbonate ion. Okay, so please note, water to form the weak acid, water interact with the carbon dioxide to form carbonic acid, and this carbonic acid dissociate to hydrogen ion and bicarbonate. This hydrogen ion and water react with the most common minerals such as silicates and carbons. Okay, and the byproducts of weathering, that is clay, the group of silicate mineral. The clay is nothing but the group of silicate minerals and soluble ions such as calcium, iron, sodium and potassium. Okay, so this will be produced as a byproducts of this particular process. Okay, and this bicarbonate ion remains in the solution. Okay, and the carbonic acid will be used to weather the rocks. Okay, and this particular, I told you, although this is the process, the carbonic acid will be produced during this particular process, will be accelerating this particular process, and this rock particle will be collided. Due to all this process, they will become pieces and they contribute lot of carbon. So that is known as weathering of a rock. Then this is very simple, auto and factory emission. You know that lot of carbon dioxides are being emitted through the combustion or the burning of fossil fuels, okay, such as coal, oil, natural gas, etc. The combustion occurs, okay, when the automobile vehicles are driven Okay, and when the power plants and industrial plants are utilized, when every day, you know that when whenever you are using your vehicle, the automobile vehicle, okay, then when you run an industry, when you run a power plant, lot of carbon dioxide will be happening due to combustion. The combustion is the greatest source of the carbon dioxide, okay, and the biggest source of carbon dioxide is this combustion. And the fossil fuels are burned for electricity generation in homes, building, industrial uses and transportation. Petroleum, you know that, is the largest share of domestic energy obtained from coal, that is followed by natural gas. And the electricity generation is the largest problem in relation to use the petroleum as a fuel, followed by closely by the industrial process that use the petroleum as a fuel. Okay, so what I am trying to tell is the burning of fossil fuels, electricity generation, all those things will create a lot of carbonaceous component. This combustion is the main source of generation of carbon dioxide in the ecosystem, and this is the process that involved steps that is involved in the carbon cycle. Okay, the fourth step: photosynthesis, respiration, weathering of rock and water, and factory emissions. Okay, and this is the process which I have been talking. Okay, so here you can see the factory that is running, the burning, carbon dioxide is released in the atmosphere, and that carbon dioxide obtained by the plants, algae, some bacteria called cyanobacteria. They uses light and do a photosynthesis. Okay, and the oxygen will be utilized by the animals and plants. Okay, and this one also do respiration and do lot of carbon dioxide they will emit. And the microorganism, once the organism utilizes the dead organic once the organism dies, the decomposition, soil and water microbes, they act on the dead organism and they contribute a lot of fossil fuels, and again that will be contributed to the carbon dioxide. Okay, and here again the dissolved carbon dioxide that is obtained in the ocean, okay, and it will that is utilized by the aquatic bacteria. Then similarly plants and algae, cyanobacteria, and in the bottom of the ocean, dead organic material including aquatic animal, they produce lot of carbonaceous component. Then I told you the hydrogen, the carbon dioxide and hydrogen combines to form a methane, okay, and carbon dioxide will be produced. So this is the overview of this particular process, the carbon cycle. Then here we are talking about microbes and environment. So obviously you should know that what is the role of microorganism in carbon cycle. So without a role of microorganism, carbon cycle cannot be performed. Okay, so carbon cycle cannot be performed. Okay, there are three sets of organisms are involved in the the carbon cycle. Number one, autotrophs. Next one is heterotrophs. Okay, you know that autotrophs are the organism, they are able to utilize as energy and they can produce their own food materials. Okay, and heterotrophs are the organism, they cannot produce their own energy, they have to use chemical compounds for their food actually. And these autotrophs and heterotrophs are the major important organism in this carbon cycle. Okay, and autotrophs, that is more clearly photoautotroph. Photo means light. Okay, if they use light energy as the carbon source. Okay, so here autotrophs are they have to use carbon dioxide as a source of carbon for their energy. Okay, and here they have been using the light energy and they use carbon dioxide as the source of carbon. Okay, so they perform the major role by reducing the carbon dioxide to form organic matter. Okay, the photoautotrophs are the mainly cyanobacteria, green plants, algae, and green and sulfur bacteria. Cyanobacteria, green plants, green and sulfur bacteria, and algae, etc. can fix carbon dioxide into the organic matter using energy from the sunlight. That is what this here it is known as carbon dioxide fixation. This blue colored arrow is a represent. Okay, then Chemoheterotrophs. Heterotrophs are the organism they can use chemicals as their carbon source. So here they use chemical energy and they use chemicals as their carbon source. Such organisms are known as chemoheterotrophs. Chemo and heterotrophs. Okay, chemoheterotroph use some organic components to their energy source. Okay, organic components they will use as an energy source. When this energy is released to respiration, carbon dioxide immediately become available to start the cycle again and again. So once this particular chemoheterotrophs, once they utilize the carbon dioxide, immediately that will be available for the organism to start this particular process. Then when plants and animal dies, these organic components are decomposed by the bacteria and fungi. That's what I told you. Okay, when the organisms such as plants and animals, once it is died, these organic components are decomposed by the bacteria and fungi. Then I told you about another important component is methane. I told you the methane gas is producing, isn't it? How it will produce? A particular organism called as methanogen or methanotrophs. Methanogens are they are archaeobacteria. In the last class we have seen bacteria are classified into two groups, eubacteria and archaeobacteria. And this archaeobacteria can live in extreme circumstances, high temperature, okay, very hot climate, all those things. Okay, and this bacteria are known as methanogen. Okay, this bacteria are archaeobacteria that uses methane as the source of carbon. Such kind of organisms are known as methanogens or methanotrophs. Okay, trophs means they utilize. Okay, methanogen, methane they will utilize. Okay, then they'll utilize methane. Okay, so these are the major organisms, they perform the important role in the carbon cycle. So this is all about the carbon cycle, dear students. We have discussed what is a carbon cycle, then what is the carbon cycle definition, what are the sources of carbon, what are the main components of carbon, then what are the major steps: photosynthesis, respiration, weathering of rock, auto and factory emission. All this process in detail we have discussed. Then we have seen the overview of this particular cycle. Then we have seen the role of microorganism in a carbon cycle. So this is all about the first biogeochemical cycle, carbon cycle. Then the next important one, like carbon, another important cycle is known as a nitrogen cycle. Okay, nitrogen cycle is another very important component. So before we are going to discuss nitrogen cycle, you should know that what is nitrogen, why nitrogen is very important, and this is the most abundant component in this universe. Approximately 78% this particular component is present in the earth surface. Okay, so out of 100%, I told you carbon is present only 0.04, but nitrogen is the most abundant. Okay, 78%. Why nitrogen is required? I told you entire body requires nitrogen because it consisting of protein, the amino acids. Okay, then it require nucleic acid, the DNA and RNA, the genetic material, then the nitrogen containing components. Okay, the green plants cannot utilize atmospheric nitrogen directly. Even though 78% nitrogen is present in the atmosphere, the plants, they cannot utilize nitrogen directly. Okay, the plants obtain nitrogen from the soil as nitrate and ammonia. Two important nitrogen derivatives are nitrates and ammonia. And the nitrogen is supplied in the form of fertilizer in agricultural crop. That is what I told you. We are adding a fertilizer. When you are adding fertilizer, we are adding nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So then when you are adding, the activities of specific microorganisms are important for the conversion of nitrogen into a usable form. I told you most of the organisms, they cannot use the nitrogen present in the ecosystem for their survival, and microorganism, they act on this nitrogen component and they convert the nitrogen that is incapable to utilized by the microorganism, and they make this non-available form of nitrogen to available form. Okay, the major form of nitrogen are organic nitrogen, ammonium NH4+, ammonium ion, nitrite, NO2 minus, nitrate, NO3 minus, okay, nitrous oxide, N2O, then nitric oxide, NO. Next one is inorganic nitrogen gas, okay. So these are the major form of nitrogen, okay. So this nitrogen easily cannot be available for the organism, and the main factors, main sources they will make, they convert the all this nitrogen into useful form are known as microorganisms. And as we have discussed, we should talk about the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen cycle is an important biogeochemical cycle by which nitrogen is converted into multiple forms, okay. As I said, all these multiple forms and circulate through atmosphere, terrestrial and marine system, okay. The conversion of nitrogen can be both abiotic and biotic phases, both biological and physical process, okay. So many processes such as fixation, ammonification, nitrification, denitrification, all those things are present, okay. So this is an overview. I told you this is the nitrogen, okay. So here the nitrogen, the plants are there, okay. The nitrogen is present. The nitrogen will be fixed in the soil by nitrogen fixing bacteria, and that convert into ammonia, and that produce a nitrifying bacteria, gives process called nitrification, and they will assimilate in the soil, and denitrification is performed with the bacteria, and finally it available to the entire ecosystem. This is the simplest representation of the nitrogen cycle, okay. And now we have to know what are the major steps of nitrogen cycle, okay. Nitrogen cycle comprises of 4 steps. Number 1, ammonification. Next one is nitrification. Next one is denitrification. Next one is nitrogen fixation. So if you look in your syllabus, they have given nitrification, denitrification and nitrogen fixation they have given, okay. Here you can see this is the overview, okay. The plants, it reaches to the nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen, reaches to the animal, the nitrogen fixing organisms are there, decomposers are there, and this nitrogen convert into nitrite, okay. It is converted into ammonium, then comes nitrite. Don't confuse nitrite and nitrate. Then comes nitrate. This is NO2 minus, this is NO3 minus. Finally it circulates through the organism, and finally you will be getting the full nitrogen that is available for the existence. Now we will discuss briefly about all this step, okay. So this is what I have told, these 4 steps, okay. So from where we will start? We will start from the nitrogen, okay. So the first step, you can see that these are the organisms, these are plants are present in the ecosystem, okay. And these plants and the organisms such as mushrooms, all those things are there, and the organism both aerobic and anaerobic. I told you, you know that what is aerobic organism. Aerobic organisms are the organisms, they are able to survive in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic organisms are the organisms, they are able to utilize carbon dioxide for their growth, and oxygen is toxic, okay. So what will happen here? So the oxygen, once the organism, when they decompose the organism, then you will be having all the nitrogen that is present in the body will be assimilated by certain bacteria, and that is known as ammonification, the conversion of ammonia, okay, the production of ammonia, okay. And this ammonia, that is known as ammonification, the green arrow, okay. Next one, once the ammonia is produced, certain bacteria, this is called as nitrosomonas, they convert NH3 ammonia to nitrite, okay, ammonia to nitrite, then nitrite, okay. The conversion of ammonia to nitrite, NO2 minus, then nitrite, NO3 minus, by 2 bacteria called nitrosomonas and nitrobacter, and this process is known as nitrification, okay. Light green color you can see. Then the next one is, once nitrate is produced, this nitrate it will converted into nitrite once again, and back to nitrous oxide and back to nitrogen, okay. This is known as denitrification. So there are again bacteria are there, denitrifying bacteria like Pseudomonas, Bacillus, Paracoccus, and Bacillus licheniformis, Paracoccus, denitrificans. All those organisms are perform denitrification, this particular step, okay. And from nitrate to nitrite, then nitrous oxide, then nitrogen, finally free nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen. Okay. Then once it is done, this nitrogen will be fixed, the free nitrogen is fixed into a small plant. Sometimes the nitrogen, it is fixed in the root of plant by certain bacteria called symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay, so this fixer in the root of leguminous plants such as pea, okay, or such a kind of leguminous plants. Okay, this is that is known as a symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Next one is this nitrogen either fixed by non-symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay, we will see that, such as Acetobacter, Biogeochemical, okay, Cyanobacteria, Clostridium, etc. Then later the industrial fixation also will be done. Okay, so this is the overall nitrogen cycle. This picture is very simple. You need not worry about hearing the name of the organism. It's very simple. Okay, all the process. What is this? The ammonification is nothing but from the dead organic matter, this has to be produced, ammonia should be produced, and this particular process is known as ammonification by microorganism. Then the ammonia should be converted into nitrites, then nitrates. That is known as that particular process is known as nitrification. Okay, then this nitrates will be converted into nitrites, then nitrous oxide, then finally back into atmospheric nitrogen. That is known as denitrification. Then once the nitrogen is produced, that is fixed by certain bacteria like symbiotic bacteria or non-symbiotic bacteria and into the soil. Okay, that is known as nitrogen fixation. And the symbiotic nitrogen bacteria called rhizobium and bradyrhizobium. Okay, that is commonly present in your paddy, rice, wheat. Okay, all those places that is commonly present. Okay, so automatically it will fix the nitrogen. Now we are going to discuss the first step. Okay, ammonification. So nitrogen in the soil exists in organic molecule primary in protein. Once the organism, when an organism dies, the process of microbial decomposition, I told you bacteria and fungi, they will decay the living cell, resulted in the hydrolytic breakdown of proteins into amino acid. Okay, that process is known as deamination, removal of amino acid from the protein. That is known as deamination, removal of amino group. Okay, then these amino groups of amino acids are removed and converted into ammonia. Okay, the NH2 group will be converted into ammonia, and this process is known as ammonification. And who will do this? Bacteria and fungi. It's very simple. Once organism dies, that organism has a lot of proteins. That protein reaches in the soil, that convert they break down to form amino acid, and the amino group will be removed from the amino acid, and that amino group convert into ammonia. This process is known as ammonification. That is what here it's shown. Protein from the dead cells and waste product, microbial decomposition, amino acid, and once the amino acid produced, then due to again microbial decomposition, that is known as ammonification, then the production of ammonia, that is known as ammonification. That's all. Next one, nitrification. So once this oxidation of nitrogen into ammonium ion to produce nitrate, this process is known as nitrification. Okay, so I told it consisting of two steps. Okay, the conversion of ammonium ion into nitrite ion by autotrophic nitrifying bacteria, by certain bacteria such as Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. That is what you have seen here, Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. They convert ammonia into nitrite, then nitrite. Okay, so this bacteria obtain energy by oxidizing ammonia or nitrite. Okay, there are two steps. What will happen? Nitrosomonas, that is a bacteria name. Nitrosomonas oxidizes ammonium to nitrite. The previous step we have seen that ammonium is produced. That ammonium, Nitrosomonas convert into nitrite ion, Nitrite, nitrite, NO2 minus. Okay. Then second step, Nitrobacter oxidize. Addition of oxygen will take place. Then to oxidize nitrite to nitrate. Okay. This one more oxygen you are going to get, NO2 minus nitrite ion, convert into nitrate ion. Okay. Nitrobacter. Okay, so these are the two steps of nitrification. Okay, that's what once ammonia produce, ammonia, this converts by Nitrosomonas, this nitrite will be produced, NO2 minus, Then another bacteria, nitrobacter, that will be produced. Nitrobacter convert nitrites NO2 minus to NO3 minus, and this step is known as a nitrification. Okay. Next one is denitrification. It's very simple. Once the nitrogen, it is a process in which the nitrogen components make its way back to the atmosphere, converting nitrite to the gaseous nitrogen. Now you know that nitrates are produced. Okay, the previous step, ammonia is produced. From ammonia to nitrite, that is known as a nitrification. Once nitrite is produced, this nitrite, the nitrogen will be released back into the atmosphere by various steps. Okay, and this loss of nitrogen to the atmosphere as nitrogen gas. Okay, the nitrogen will be released and they will be appear in the form of a gas. Okay. And this is generally occurs in the waterlogged soil, in which water is accumulated in the soil where little oxygen is available. The oxygen is completely not present. Okay, that is known as denitrification. The process, the previous step, the end product is nitrite. Here nitrate converted into nitrite, then nitrite converted into N2O, nitrous oxide, then finally nitrogen. Nitrate NO3 minus, then nitrite NO2 minus, then N2O, that is nitrous oxide, then finally nitrogen gas. Okay, and this process is known as a denitrification, removal of a nitrogen, and that nitrogen is reached into the atmosphere. Now that nitrogen again that will be reached to the soil. How? A process of a conversion of nitrogen gas to ammonia. We have started from ammonia. Okay, finally the nitrogen convert into ammonia. Okay, there are three, and this particular process is known as a nitrogen fixation, fixing the atmospheric nitrogen in the form of ammonia, okay, into the soil. That is known as a nitrogen fixation. There are three types of nitrogen fixation. One is atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Next one is industrial nitrogen fixation. Third one is biological nitrogen fixation. Among the three, the third one is very, very important. But we will see very briefly about all those things. Then atmospheric nitrogen fixation, the energy of lightning breaks the nitrogen into nitrogen oxide, and it is used by the plant. Okay, so thundering and lightnings are happening. You can see lightnings are happening. What will happen? Due to this, the energy source. Okay, then what will happen during that particular time? The energy of lightning breaks the nitrogen into nitrogen oxide, and then that is used by the plant. This is known as atmospheric nitrogen fixation. That is a spontaneous natural process. Next one is industrial nitrogen fixation. Here when you are adding, it is a man-made alternative that aids the nitrogen fixation by the use of ammonia. Okay, when you are industrially, the man-made, the human-made activities that will give you lot of nitrogen sources. Okay, and this ammonia is produced by the direct combination of nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay, if you combine nitrogen and you take nitrogen and hydrogen, you also you take, then combine these two chemicals by artificially, then you convert that and add apply in the form of fertilizer such as urea. You know that urea, that is an excellent fertilizer. How it is produced? The combination of nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay, you will be getting urea. This is an excellent fertilizer. So that is why this is a man-made activity, industrial process. Then biological nitrogen fixation. This is done by microorganism. Here comes the role of microbes. Okay, the transformation of unusable form of nitrogen into other components that are more readily usable formed by microorganism. This is what I told you. Most of the nitrogen that is not able to utilize by the organism, this nitrogen will be converted into useful form, more well acceptable form by microorganism, and that supplies. And this nitrogen fixing organism, the microbes, they are generally able to fix the atmospheric nitrogen, is known as diazotropes. Diazotropes, they are nitrogen fixing bacteria. My dear students, you are learning so many new terms. Please understand, diazotropes are the organism, they are able to fix the atmospheric nitrogen into the soil. Okay, there are three types of nitrogen fixation. One is symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Next one is non-symbiotic or free-living nitrogen fixation. Next one is associative symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Like that, 3 types of nitrogen fixations are very, very important. This is very, very important as far as the university examination is concerned. Now we are going to discuss symbiotic nitrogen fixation. It is very simple. So the fixation of atmospheric nitrogen by certain bacteria which are symbiotically associated with the roots of leguminous plants such as pea plants. Okay, so similarly such kind of plants, if you take that from the soil and you look, you can see something small round like structures are produced near in the root. That is known as a root nodule. Okay, root nodule. So inside the root nodule the bacteria are present. They fix that atmospheric nitrogen inside the nodule by symbiotically associated with that plant. The bacteria, they are able to associate or interact symbiotically and they are able to fix the atmospheric nitrogen. And the symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria play an important role in the plant growth for crop production. In agricultural, in our agricultural farmers, the symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria are very, very important. Okay, we are cultivating the pea plants. Okay, similar type of leguminous plants. Okay, such kind of plants are known as leguminous plants. Okay. So, in Malayalam we will call it as Pairuvargangal. Okay, so that is known as the symbiotic nitrogen, that is known as the leguminous plants. Okay, so this most important types of organism that is present in the leguminous plants. In these organisms are the bacteria are rhizobium, bradyrhizobium. Okay, they infect the root of leguminous plants such as soybean, beans, peas, peanut, alfalfa and clover. Okay, all those plants that is known as leguminous plants. Okay, so all these are important plant that is in agricultural and our daily food items. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, then that is known as symbiotic nitrogen fixation. If the nitrogen fixation performed by the bacteria interacted symbiotically with the root of leguminous plants, that is known as symbiotic nitrogen fixation. This is what I have solved. Okay, here you can see the root. Okay, this plant, the pea plant. Okay, here you can see pea. This plant has got a lot of nodules. You can see round structures. Okay, this is a photograph. Okay, this is known as a nodule. If you cut the nodule, you can see like this, and the bacteria rhizobium are present inside the root nodule. Okay, the first step you can see this is the nodule, and if you take the cross section of this root nodule, you can see this is the root hair. Okay, you can see, and this root hair, if you see the tip of root hair, lot of bacteria are attached. That is known as rhizobia, and this rhizobia forms, they deeply penetrated the cell and they will go and they will sit, they will live inside, and what they will do, the bacteria changes shape called bacterioids. That is you can see this is somewhat rod shape, but here you can see somewhat circular like shape, and finally they will form a big structure like this, and that is the root nodules. Okay, so if you cut, you will be able root nodule. If you cut, okay, you can see like this. So this is the symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria such as rhizobium and bradyrhizobium. Next one is non-symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay, they are not directly associated, they will not produce a root nodule, but they simply go and attach the root of the plants. Okay, such as grasses, wheat, maize, sugarcane, rice. Okay, all those cases in the root, this bacteria simply go and attach, and they will fix the atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, so the free living nitrogen fixing bacteria are found particularly in high concentration the rhizosphere. Rhizosphere means the soil in which the plant root make contacts. Okay, the region where soil and their plant root are making contact, that is known as a rhizosphere. Okay, the 3 types of non-symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria are present. One is aerobic bacteria, that has Acetobacter and Biogeochemical, 2 names. Okay, this is a gram-negative motile. They are able to move, and oval-shaped or spherical-shaped bacteria. Gram-negative, based on the cell wall composition, bacteria are classified into 2 groups: gram-positive and gram-negative. Acetobacter is a gram-negative. Okay, next one, Biogeochemical, another free-living nitrogen-fixing aerobic gram-negative bacteria. Next one is aerobic photosynthetic bacteria such as cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. The next one is anaerobic bacteria. Aerobe, you know that they require oxygen. Okay, anaerobe means oxygen is toxic for them and they require they require what? They require carbon dioxide. Example, Clostridium pasturionum. So this is the first anaerobic bacteria discovered. They are able to fix atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, these are strict anaerobe. That means they are obligate anaerobe. Obligate means strict. Okay, anaerobe means oxygen is toxic for them. They cannot utilize oxygen. Carbon dioxide is required for their growth. And nitrogen fixing microorganism. Okay, and this is what a photosynthetic cyanobacteria. This is algae. I told you. You can see the microscopic picture of that. Okay, this is commonly present in pond, river. Okay, all those places you can see. Okay, this is non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation. The third category is associative symbiotic nitrogen fixation, such as Azospirillum. Okay, this organism forms a close association with this associative, their close association with several members of grass, cereal crops, rice, wheat, corn, oats and barley. All those plants, the microorganisms simply attach, okay, and they will fix the atmospheric nitrogen. That they will help the rice, wheat, okay, corn, okay, all those plants to grow. Okay, this bacteria fix large amount of nitrogen within the rhizosphere of the host plant. Okay, these are such kind of bacteria. You can see they are attached with these are electron microscopic picture. The rod shaped cell, you can see they are fixing atmospheric nitrogen. An example is Azospirillum. This is a gram-negative microaerophilic nitrogen fixing bacteria. I hope you remember microaerophile. What do you mean by microaerophile? The organism, they are able to live little bit presence of oxygen. Okay, they are able to grow in a small presence of and a very small amount of oxygen. Okay, these are associative nitrogen fixing bacteria. So that's all nitrogen cycle, dear students, we have discussed. So very important process. The introduction, what are the major forms of nitrogen, why nitrogen is very important in the ecosystem. Okay, what do you mean by nitrogen cycle? Okay, nitrogen cycle, and what are the different steps of nitrogen cycle? Ammonification, nitrification, denitrification, nitrogen fixation. Then the overall picture of how the process is happening. This is really interesting, and that you are able to, you can study. Then what do you mean by ammonification? Okay, from the dead organic material, formation of ammonia by this organism. Second step, from the ammonia, the formation of nitrite. Okay, there are two steps. First step is characterized by nitrosomonas, ammonium converted into nitrite. Then the second step, nitrite converted into nitrite by nitrobacter. Then this nitrite convert nitrogen gas by reverse the denitrification, removal of nitrogen. Okay, the nitrite, then nitrite, nitrous oxide, then finally nitrogen. Once the nitrogen is produced, how to fix, how to make you give to the organism that is present in the earth. Okay, three types: atmospheric, industrial and biological. Okay, atmospheric, generally lightning, thunder, okay, all those process, this process will happen. Industrial, okay, man-made step. Okay, industrial, man-made, that is when you are adding the fertilizers, that is known as a nitrogen, industrial nitrogen fixation. Most importantly, biological nitrogen fixation. Okay, that is the very important process. The nitrogen fixing organisms are on diisotrophs. There are three types: symbiotic nitrogen fixing organism, non-symbiotic and associated symbiotic. Symbiotic, they are symbiotically associated with the roots of leguminous plants, and they fix the atmospheric nitrogen, such as soybean, beans, peas, all those roots. Example, rhizobium and bradyrhizobium, the root nodule formation. Okay. Second one, non-symbiotic. They won't produce root nodule, but they are attached to the root. Aerobic bacteria, aerobic photosynthetic bacteria, and anaerobic bacteria. Appropriate examples, okay, you have to study. Then associative symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Association with the cereal crops such as wheat, corn, oat, barley, grass, all those plants. Okay, that is organism is known as Azospirillum. So associative symbiotic nitrogen fixing bacteria. These terms you have to spelling, you have to write and study, dear students. Then the next one is water cycle. So first we have studied about carbon. Next we have studied about nitrogen. Next one we are going to study water cycle. Okay, so you know the importance of water. Human body, without water no life can possible in this world. Okay, human body consisting of approximately 70 to 80% of water. Our body is full of water. Earth comprised of 97.55% is a water, that's salt water. 99% is the form of underground water or ice. Okay, only 1% water is only present in the form of lake, river and other available sources. Most of the water is present that is in the form of ocean. Okay, and the movement and conversion of this water through the hydrosphere, lithosphere and atmosphere is known as water cycle. And the most important thing, water is the only substance in the world that can exist as gas, that is water vapor, liquid, that is water, and solid, that is ice. Okay, water is the only substance that can present in three different forms: solid, gas and vapor. Okay, so and this water cycle is otherwise known as hydrologic cycle. Water cycle is otherwise known as hydrologic cycle. The cycle that involves in the continuous circulation of the water in the system, atmosphere system. Okay, the water that is transferred from all the system from one level to another. The steps are evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, runoff. So many steps. Okay, evaporation, water will be evaporating. Okay, transpiration. Okay, that the green plants will be utilizing the water and release. Okay, so that is transpiration. Condensation. Okay, then combination. Okay, then precipitation, they precipitate the water, runoff. Okay, the total amount of water within the cycle remains constant. Although the cycles are happening, the total amount of water in a system that is constant, but their distribution in this living system that will be varied. Okay, that will be the distribution will be varied. That is a very, very important thing. And this is the process, the water cycle, the major steps. The water cycle shows the continuous movement of water within the earth and atmosphere. That is what I have told here. Okay, the water cycle involves the continuous movement and circulation within the atmosphere, and it's a complex system that includes, okay, first one, liquid water. When sunlight is there, the liquid water, seasonable condition, summer season, the liquid water evaporate into water vapor, which condenses to form clouds. Okay, and once clouds produce, they precipitate back to earth in the form of rain. Okay, and snow. Okay, you know that during the summer season, lot of water from sea, ocean, river, pond, etc., that will be using sunlight, they will evaporate and they will reach as a water vapor, as a gaseous state. Then it condenses to form cloud. Okay, they produce clouds, condenses to form clouds and precipitate back to the earth. Okay, then once again they reaches the earth in the monsoon season in the form of rain and snow. Okay, in December and January in the form of snow. Okay, the water is in different phases moves through the atmosphere. Okay, and the different phases of this water, solid, liquid and water, that is known as transportation. Okay, the liquid water flows across the land. Okay, the water that is flowing in the form of a river, in the form of stream, in the form of pond. Okay, across the land, that is known as runoff. And ground, okay, in the deeper underground, okay, that is known as infiltration and percolation. Okay, so underground. Okay, and through the groundwater, well, spring, you know that. Okay, well. Okay, so all those things you know that actually. Deeper region, the water will be there. Then the groundwater moves into plants. Okay, the plants will be plants will be absorbed and evaporated from the plants into the atmosphere. That is known as a transpiration. That's what I told you, all the steps are present. Okay, the water that is moves into the plants, the plant will be uptake the water and which will evaporate from the plant into the atmosphere. That is known as transpiration. And the solid ice and snows can convert directly into gas. Okay, the ice and snow can directly convert into gas. That is known as sublimation. Okay, the process sublimation is nothing but the conversion of ice and snow to the gaseous form of water. Then the opposite, that means to say the gas also can convert into the solid, ice and snow. That is known as the water vapor. They can become solids. Okay, the water vapor they can convert into solid. That is known as a deposition. So these are the so many: transportation, infiltration, percolation, uptake, okay, transpiration, sublimation, okay, all these steps are the important steps in water cycle. So this is what I have been talking. Here you can see the land, beautiful mountains, okay. From the mountain you know that lot of rivers will be arising, okay. You can see then there are plants, okay, they absorb water from surrounding medium. Then here you can see sea, okay. Here also you can see lot of mountains, okay. Then this will be from this mountain, it will reach us to the sea, that is known as runoff. The groundwater, okay, it will go to the deeper ground, okay, that is known as percolation. Deeper in the soil it will reach. Then infiltration, that will be filtered through the soil, and the plant will be taken by roots, okay, that will be taking, and once it is reaching, it will release that water into the sky, that is known as transpiration. Once the condensation forms, you can see that will be what? That will be form in the form of clouds, okay. So on appropriate condition, when clouds are there, they precipitate back and they convert to the convert back in the form of precipitation, it condenses back, okay, and that will be in the form of rain. Here we can see precipitation, rain, and the mountains, lot of runoff water bodies are rising, okay. Then here you can see the gas, okay. So lot of mountain, that is snow, that is full of ice, okay, like the Himalaya, okay. So here from the ice directly the water will be converted into a gaseous state, that is known as sublimation. So this picture completely shows the entire water cycle. So this is all about water cycle. So why water is very, very important? What are the major steps? It's very easy. And what are the major steps? Transportation, okay. The liquid will be converted into water by water vapor, they condenses and they produces clouds, they precipitate back, okay. How will you rain will produce, rain will forms. Once the rain is there, okay, what will happen? Again this water migrates and moves in various level, okay. Some water will be going down, some water will be going top, okay, and some water will be utilized by the plants, okay, again by transpiration, okay. The leaf will be released the water content to the atmosphere, and this movement, the beautiful movement, is known as a water cycle. So this is all about this topic, dear students, the biogeochemical cycle. And once again we can glance through the topic whatever we have discussed, okay. So the introduction, biogeochemical cycles, we have discussed what do you mean by biogeochemical cycles and why these biogeochemical cycles are very important. The major biogeochemical cycle, okay, water, carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, etc. And what is the importance of these three cycles, especially water cycle, carbon cycle and nitrogen cycle. Carbon cycle we have seen in introduction, what are the sources of carbon, the main components of carbon cycle, and the major steps of carbon cycle. 4 steps: photosynthesis, respiration, weathering of rock, auto and factory emission. Then what are the role of microorganism in carbon cycle? Autotrophs, okay, photoautotrophs, chemotrophs, okay, methanogen, methanotrophs, okay. Then we have discussed nitrogen cycle. Why nitrogen is very important? The steps of nitrogen cycle: ammonification, nitrification, denitrification, nitrogen fixation, okay, ammonification, the conversion of protein into ammonia. Nitrification, okay, the conversion of ammonia to nitrite, then nitrate, okay. Denitrification, the conversion of nitrite to nitrite, then nitrous oxide, then finally nitrogen gas. Nitrogen fixation, the fixing of atmospheric nitrogen by 3 method: atmospheric fixation, industrial nitrogen fixation, biological nitrogen fixation. Then these 3 processes: biological nitrogen fixation, symbiotics by using the root of leguminous plants, the non-symbiotic or free living, associative symbiotic organism. Appropriate examples and process. Then water cycle. Why water is very important? This is a universal solvent, and how the typical process happening. Okay, water can exist in the solid, liquid and gas, and the conversion from each and every phases, and throughout the ecosystem the cycles are moving. So that's all, dear students. These are the references. You can refer any of the simple microbiology textbooks that is available in the in our library. Okay, you can refer. And this is very, very important. Although we are studying this nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle and water cycle, you know that the major problem nowadays due to the human interference, okay, you have seen that greenhouse gases, global warming, okay, all those problems, the humans are complete. You know that the major problem is now the plants are the major thing. In all the cycle you have seen that the plants and microorganism. Unfortunately, deforestation, okay, the humans are interfering and they are removing the forest, okay, and they are removing the tree from this earth, and and causes lot of detrimental impact, okay, and this detrimental impact are creating lot of problems to the ecosystem, especially this the biogeochemical cycles in our system is totally deteriorated. So by studying this particular topic and studying this biology, let us save earth from the detrimental impact of human interference in the biogeochemical cycle. So this is what is the greatest message I would like to give you as a non-biology students after studying this particular topic. So thank you dear students for watching this particular class. If you are having any doubt, you can write it to me, or you can call me, or you can ask me, or you can post your comments below the video actually. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.